All right, everybody. Thanks so much for stopping by another live episode of Real Estate Titans, sponsored by Lion Bolt Media. I'm your host, Greg Fowler, traveling throughout the marketplace, interviewing the top real estate professionals in our field, essentially gathering insight, inspiration, really drives and motivates these top producers above and beyond everybody else in what I'd like to consider a real estate titan. Now, our very special guest and featured titan for today's episode 258, all the way from Austin, Texas, none other than Andrés Bustamante. Andrés, it's an honor and a pleasure, my friend. Thanks so much for taking the time.
Thank you as well. Thanks so much for taking the time. And I'm just so excited to do this.
This is great. We've had a conversation before on another show, and it was absolutely phenomenal. And me reaching out to you, I was super excited just to have another conversation for the Titan Nation. So, Andrés, without further ado, I want to dive in and really let everybody out there know exactly who you are, what got you into the business, and kind of what your progression in your career up to today is. So let's just get the background, the story of Andrés.
Perfect. I was born in El Paso, Texas. My parents are from Mexico.
Love it.
And I'm going to tell you a bit of background before I really dive in. But when I was 16, I did a study abroad program in France. So I lived on my own with host parents. And that's one of the things that I look back now and I'm like, okay, I became very independent with that. I needed to find a way to get to school, find a way to get back, do a lot of things. That's a small background onto what we're going to talk about now.
Love it. Love it.
19, I got into the University of Texas at Austin, Hook'em. And it was incredible. The funny thing though, is that I had 3 majors. I was unsure of what I was going to do in college. I feel like a lot of people. And with that uncertainty, there's also kind of that pressure. And then I also, on top of that, had to find a way to pay for some of my college expenses and like my housing and tuition and whatnot.
Wow.
So I said, you know what way could I find to be able to pay for that without having to work for someone? Because I like being independent and I didn't want to work crazy hours along with college. So I found that I could be a real estate agent. I could help students find apartments and those apartments would pay me. Started to do the leasing game. It's incredible. When I was 21, imagine this, get a call and this guy is like, Andrés, I heard you're an incredible real estate agent. My budget's 1 million to 5 million. And the person that referred me told me you've done a ton of sales. I'm a 21-year-old college student and I'd never done a sale. So you can imagine me just in that moment. I was in my college dorm. I was like, sure. Crazy. Long story short, we get sold, and that's what started in my head about maybe I can do this further on, you know. So I graduated at 23. Wow. I rejected an offer for the company that was my dream company, even though everyone was telling me, Andrés, you're an idiot. You should stick with the stable 8 to 5. I'm 23, so I'm like, I just know my gut is telling me to not do that. I was so scared though, obviously.
Yeah.
But you know those moments when it's like, let's go with it. I went with it. I was scared, read a lot about mindset. I found an incredible mentors, Victor Nino and Diego Corzo.
Wow.
Joined their team. And now it's been incredible. I have several investment properties. I'm a business partner on the team.
Wow.
And we've helped a ton of people. This year, the team's volume, and we're 8 agents, was 98 million. We just got the numbers today.
That's incredible.
98 million, incredible.
You know, Andrés, and I love the fact that you kind of take us back and give us the background of the story. It just blows my mind every time to hear it, and meeting so many incredible real estate professionals from all over the world. There's never a one size fits all, and everyone has a different path and a different reason as to why they got into the business. And at a super young age, in my opinion, you know, for you to have the deep understanding of, hey, there are different ways, there are better ways for me to get through college and to pay my way and to really build wealth. That's massive. Is there anything you could look back on that attributed to that? Because that's something that I'm always curious about, as to what was the initial influence. I mean, you didn't just have this epiphany for no reason one day to say real estate's the vehicle. Like, was there someone or something that really made you think that early on, or what was it?
That's such a good question. I think, thankfully, my first ever job was Cutco.
Okay. Yeah.
Now that I think about it,
Nice.
I'm like, oh wow, it just got to my head right now.
Mhm.
My first ever job was Cutco. And for those of you that don't know, it's like commission based. I was like 15 or 14. And the
Wow.
first day, picture this, we're all in a room
Mm.
and the main guy is like, all right, everyone take out your phones. You're not leaving until you make 10 calls. I'm 15 years old and I'm like, dude, I
Wow.
get nervous calling for pizza. How am I gonna call 10 like people like, hey, I sell knives? Like, I'm a 15-year-old, trust me. So,
Unreal.
oh my gosh, I feel that was one of the reasons kind of that attributed to that.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
My grandparents own a fourplex in Mexico,
Mm.
but I never realized that they had tenants in each one, and it didn't hit me until like 2 years ago. I'm like, oh, they actually own a lot of real estate too, you know? Well, not a
Yeah.
lot, but they have a fourplex in Mexico. Yeah.
Sure. I love the fact that again, it's gosh, 14, 15. I mean, I remember, I mean, for me, not like we're old men or anything along those lines. And we're gonna, oh, I remember, when I was young.
Let
I
me
think
tell
the
you.
interesting thing that you mentioned is, like you were working early on, and that work ethic and that drive was already there. And gosh, I remember backward Seattle Mariners cap for me, knocking on doors selling candy bars. I mean, it was always just kind of moving forward and providing value and really looking at it, but doing awkward things that most people would run away from. And like you said, like you were nervous about ordering a pizza. I mean, to think about that, to do what you're doing at that age, but then carrying on. So and not to just make you feel good, but you were obviously advanced. You were moving at a pace that was well beyond your years, and that continues to grow, which is wonderful. So take us through your real estate career thus far, because you've done so much in a short period of time. I mean, countless awards, rookie of the year, really dominating the market. What was that like? I mean, you joined the team. So where do you attribute some of that success? Is it through the mentorship and leadership, consistencies through what you do every day? What does that look like?
Mentorship 100% for me is like the number one thing. Anytime any agent asks, what should I do? What brokerage should I focus on? I'm like, look, you can focus on the brokerage. That's amazing. And Keller Williams has been amazing. The biggest thing, though, I will say for me is the people you surround yourself with.
Love it.
Mentors and setting those right expectations. Because look, maybe they're a great mentor. I mean, they're great at what they do.
Mhm.
Are they great mentors?
Mhm.
So it's a mutual interview that you have to do with on that end. Mentorship has been huge. And then a morning routine. Oh my gosh, like to say that I'm in love with my morning routine is an understatement. I adore my morning routine. It's crazy.
Garrett, please, Andres, please, please.
Yeah. Okay. So, and this is many iterations. Like
Yeah.
it took me 3 years to get to this one that I love.
Mm.
I love this morning routine. And the one that I do and that I did this morning,
Mhm.
wake up at 5:20 in the morning,
Okay.
do my bed. Small wins are crucial.
Mm.
Subconsciously, they're so important. Do my bed, went to the gym for like about an hour,
Mm.
then take a cold shower, even though it's probably the part that I hate the most. I legit sometimes procrastinate.
Mm.
I'm like, oh, should I cut my nails? Should I shave or something?
Oh no.
It's weird and funny, but
Yeah.
I have a routine. So 45 seconds of
Mhm.
a cold shower, and I have to count down in French. It's
Ooh,
it's weird, but I have to count down in French. And if I miss a number, I start all over. So it
unreal.
helps you practice French, but also just like be like you have to be zoned in.
Mm.
So cold shower. Then I write down my most important task. I write it down the night prior, but
Mhm.
look at my tasks, look at my goals. I meditate, do affirmations, visualize. I
Beautiful.
read, and then by that time it's probably 7:30. Then from
Mm.
7:30 to 8, I'm starting my most important task, which these are my tasks.
Love
And
it.
like what I'm grateful for, my wins of the or yeah, and my scribing. But yeah, I mean, it's just start your most important task right away. And
Mm.
then at 8 a.m., I've already done all of that. So
Wow.
that is like the routine that I've cultivated that I love.
And Andres, I love that because you're accomplishing so much before most people are even getting going. And, everyone has their own groove, and there is not a perfect scenario or a perfect start or end to a day. I mean, you got to craft that. And like you said, it took you years to get to the point where you're at. But it is crucially important to have those routines for whatever works for you to motivate you to get done what needs to get done. That's important, but it takes effort. It takes time. I got to ask you about the cold showers, because I have not been a cold shower guy, but I've heard everywhere that it is a legitimate thing. I don't know. I love my long, warm showers, rain head, all kinds of, so what is it? What really changed in your mind with the cold showers?
I mean, I read the Wim Hof method about, it's essentially, he's an Iceman, and he's like climbed a mountain in shorts, and he's crazy. But I read that and I was like, look, you know what? I want to implement this in my routine because I want to. And then I had finished 75 hard, and phase 2, this is so funny. Phase 2, you have to take a 5-minute cold shower. So I was like, oh my gosh. And I did it for 30 days. Wow. But I am such a, not super competitive, but there's these small things that get in my head, and it's hilarious to where I had a 30-day streak and I said, I can't lose a streak. So ever since I finished that, I've taken a cold shower, and I told in my head, oh my gosh, if I do it, I'm going to lose my 158 streak now. Oh, if I don't do it. It's crazy, but I've made like a game of things like this that it's just helped me like do things like that. But I'm like, no, I don't want to lose the streak.
Andres, I love that internal drive and count inside your own mind. And you talked about mindset and really learning about that and training yourself that way. And all the best and brightest minds in any industry as an entrepreneur, they're all looking at the forefront of mindset and, obviously putting good things into their bodies, into their minds, really looking at it from that standpoint. But that's kind of that golden ticket that everyone's looking for, is like, what are the outliers? What's connecting the best and brightest minds? And I will tell you, it's having that internal burn, that drive to yourself to say, like, I want to compete. I want to keep this going for no reason really, but besides for yourself. And that's what the bizarre thing is. And I think that, I don't want to say that because anything can be learned. It's practice and becomes perfection, but there's no such thing as perfection. But there are certain individuals that really hone in on that and really lean into that. And obviously you're one of them. But I find that to be a consistency for wildly successful people. I love the fact that you're sharing this with everybody, because this is applicable. And I know that you are constantly sharing and giving, and the gift of gab in process, and obviously everything that you've done, you obviously are continually speaking on stages and sharing this knowledge with so many other athletes, because we didn't talk about this yet. But for anybody who doesn't know you, you're a massive athlete. So let's talk about that. But I also want to talk about why you're on stages and helping other athletes like yourself accumulate wealth and train and educate. Let's just talk about that.
Yeah, and thanks for mentioning that.
Sure.
I played soccer when I was in high school. We won state, which was awesome. Then I played for UT for a year, played back in France as well. And for me, one big factor that I saw is that unfortunately a lot of athletes are not as educated in terms of wealth. Hey, it's great right now, like you're earning a ton of money. What happens after though? Like, are you taking advantage of what you're earning right now to build that legacy? Because it's not just about right now. Yes, being rich and wealthy are so different. It's the importance of knowing the difference. Being rich, okay, you can pay things right now, but what if you stop working? You get injured. Maybe you stop getting paid. So what about that legacy? The wealth is when you build your legacy to where it is something that is accumulated over time and it can become passive. So one of the big goals that I have and that I've been doing, I've helped several of the athletes for Austin FC, for the team, and teaching the younger guys, or I mean, just anyone in general, about wealth building, and also teaching students. So I've gone to several classes at the University of Texas. And giving them presentations about the importance of wealth building. And it's awesome to just see everyone excited. And I get messages. When I got a message a week ago, it's like, hey, I heard you 2 years ago, and I just want to say that this and that. And I was like, oh, this is so worth it.
It's incredible to see that, Andres. And what's really, really incredible is you talked about mentors in your life and obviously learning and surrounding yourself with great people. And, you have been able to soak up incredible knowledge and apply it. It's not just learning it, but it's actually taking action upon, which you've done. Obviously, hitting the goals you've hit, it takes massive action. What's interesting is you're paying that forward and you're really sharing that with the next individuals, so it's that old adage that as you reach your hand up for somebody to help pull you into greatness, you want to reach your hand down and help that next person. And that's what's so beautiful about what you're doing. I guess what I would say to anybody who's tuning into this, massively important, if you're interested in learning more from Andrés, if you want him to speak on your stage or, stop by your brokerage or office or for anything along those lines, I would encourage you to reach out to this man. We'll have all contact information in the show notes. Big things into TikTok and Instagram. So if you're not following Andrés, do that on every major platform, but TikTok and Instagram specifically. Andrés, I really appreciate that. I want to kind of cap this off with a final question inside here. You've already given such great information. And again, talking about, implementation and mentorship and really just looking at it from that standpoint. But everyone's tuning in to learn from the Titans and to really understand where they've learned and grown from and how they might apply it to their business. So if you could look back at your career thus far and pick or choose one or two things that you really added or implemented that you saw growth, you really just saw the needle move in a positive. What's that look like for you? What advice would you give anybody watching or listening?
Great question. I remember when I was just starting off and I had a lot of questions and I was saying, wow, if I want to be the person telling people to buy homes, not telling, but more so educating people to buy homes, then I myself have to be a homeowner. I have to be an investor.
Wow.
And that hit me. It's like, oh my gosh, I have to do that. Why? Because I need to be relatable. So also on the point of building wealth, that's so important. But the fact of relatability, and I looked back and I was like, okay, what problems, if I was not a real estate agent, would I have had? The old adage, 20% down, you have to put that. How can I make this story to where, look, I found out that I didn't have to do that? What about the owner occupant perks? What about the fact that a lot of us are told, unfortunately, that we have to rent for the rest of our lives? Who is that coming from? Like, what information are you getting that from? So I remember one day I was thinking about this. I was scribing and I was like, wow, I need to find a way to cover my expenses if possible. How did I do that? I decided to purchase a house that had 4 bedrooms and 3.5 bathrooms. I lived in one room, rented out the others. So there I was like, look, this is my story. I put it out to everyone. So relatability is huge.
Wow.
Obviously, as long as you're sincere, and how to tell a story. You need to be a perfect storyteller. As agents, we're storytellers, problem solvers, educators. There's so much more to us, just like, hey, let me help you find a house. We're also question masters.
Wow.
The person asking the questions is a person leading the conversation. Those are facts. So when I bought that house, I was like, look, I thought I had to put 20% down and I actually found out that I didn't. That checks the box for a lot of people that are like, oh, I thought I had to do this. Look, I thought I was going to rent for the rest of my life and I did this. Look, I'm 23 and I just graduated college and it was possible.
Wow.
Once I put that post, and look, it's on Instagram. It's crazy. I put that post, the relatability of people saying, I relate to Andrés. I can trust him because of that relatability. Oh my gosh, started skyrocketing and I started helping a ton of people because I knew that was my niche. That was my target audience.
Wow. That is absolutely beautifully said. And as you mentioned that, Andres, it's so beautiful because you're really breaking it down in basis of practicing what you preach, right? So if you're educating or guiding individuals to purchase real estate for themselves and for future wealth and investments, you're doing that yourself. But then the relatability and storytelling behind that is such an overlooked piece. I agree with you 100%. And I wish that more real estate professionals really understood that. I think people get the fact that it is a people business and you do need to connect in a meaningful way, but so many people make it harder than it really needs to be. Just be genuine in nature, communicate and connect with people on that level, and you'll see it flourish. Look what you've done in your career thus far. I mean, you're just scratching the surface, my friend, but you're already hitting massive notes. So that's what's really cool about it. And anyone who's tuning into this, whether it's live with us now or listening to the audio file on your favorite podcast syndication, this man is exactly painting the picture of what needs to be done. I don't care if you're brand new or you're a seasoned pro. Everyone needs to take notes from what you're saying. So I love this. I think it's fantastic. And again, I could pick your brain all day long, my friend. I know we're only sharing tight pieces of information here just for time's sake, but I just encourage everybody, again, if you're not following this man on Instagram or TikTok, do so. Reach out to him. He's a wealth of knowledge, absolutely incredible. One of the best and brightest, and I don't use that lightly. But Andrés, it's been an honor and a pleasure, my friend. I can't thank you enough for taking the time today.
I appreciate you a ton, man. Really, really appreciate it. Thank you.
This is awesome. And I do need to dub you an official real estate titan. So that is an honor that you can wear for the rest of your life, my friend. There's no badge or plaque or trophy, but it's in your heart. So I can't thank you again, my friend. It was incredible.
I appreciate that.
Awesome. And everybody out there as well, thank you as always for your time and attention, your love and support. If you like what we're doing, the Real Estate Titans, don't forget to like and subscribe. You know what to do at this point. I do have to give our sponsor a quick shout out, Lion Bolt Media. If you are a real estate professional looking to grow and scale your business with digital marketing, look at and check out lionboltmedia.com for more information. Now, we're live here on Real Estate Titans every Tuesday afternoon, a different Titan, different location. We'll catch everybody on the next live episode of Real Estate Titans. Take care. Thanks, Andrés.
Oh, of course.